Good morning.
Good morning. Morning.
How is everyone doing today?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Good.
Oh, I had a question real quick.
Yeah,
For
I'm ready.
so your office hours,
hmm
there some left today?
Nope.
Nope. Am I late?
They were at 8 a.m.
No.
You can still do them Monday.
Okay. All right. Well,
So
we can do that.
yeah, Monday morning, 8 a.m. You could have
So
come last night from 7:30 to
I
8:30
know it
p.m.
went over my head. I'm sorry.
That's
Because
okay.
it's usually it's like if I see something in my canvas to do thing, then I'm like, oh, I'll do that. But I forgot.
Yeah, that's okay. You're not alone. It
Yeah.
might be a busy Monday morning.
So
Josh
you
did his though.
so you want me to come in? Is there directions? Wait, I have to actually go to Mesa, right?
No,
Oh, okay.
just
I don't know
online.
why I thought that. I think
There's
part of me knew, but yeah.
Yeah, there's just a little button on Canvas that says office hours. You just push that button. It's a different meeting than this one.
Oh, okay. So what
Yeah.
time on Monday is that?
8 a.m.
Okay, got it, got it, got it.
Yeah.
All right, we're
Between
good.
8 and 8:50.
All right, sounds good.
I sent you guys a reminder this morning. Did you see it? If you didn't do your office hours yet.
I did. That's why I asked, but I was asleep.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, I saw it too, and I was like, "Uh-oh, did I miss something?" I was like, "I know I was supposed to do it, but was it due like right now?"
Nope, it's due by Monday. So, but
That's what I thought. I was like, "Oh, I've screwed up."
the unfortunate part is I only have office hours left Monday morning. So,
So we're all in trouble.
no, so you're all going to do it Monday morning. It's fine. We'll get it
Okay.
done.
Yes, ma'am.
Because there's a lot of you in here that need it done. Veronica did hers, Lily did hers, and Josh did his. I think that's it. Everybody else still needs to. But it's pretty quick, right, Josh? It's not long.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. It was pretty simple.
Oh, good. Not very painful. All right. Well, good morning. Are you freezing, Tashina?
Yeah, it was pretty cold. It was 3 degrees the night before, and I guess we got lucky. It was only 21 last night. But something was up with the AC. Couldn't figure out how to keep the heat on. It kept turning off in the middle of the night.
It was either that or explode. So be happy it didn't explode, right?
Very true. Very true.
See, I always look on the bright side of things. We survived. I remember I stayed in a cabin in Greer a long time ago, and there was a loft, and then there were two bedrooms, and the we were cold in the bedrooms, so we had just piles and piles and piles of blankets on us. Like it was probably, in the teens. And what we didn't realize was that all the heat was going to the loft and all the
Yeah.
kids were up in the loft and they were like sweating to death. They were like, and we just kept stoking the fire and everything. And they're like, we are sweating to death. And I'm like, in the middle of the night, one of my kids came down and was literally flushed. He was so hot and he just laid on the couch. And I was
That's
like,
hilarious.
and I could barely move. I was so cold. So, yeah, apparently heat rises. That was news to me.
Our 2-year-old had a blast. The snow was so deep. She was waist deep in the snow. So that's fun.
Yeah. My sister said it's like 3 feet at their house in Pine Top.
Yeah, it's
So,
deep, deep.
yeah. And they don't have heat in their house. They only use a wood burning stove. Well,
Ooh,
they have heat. They just don't
yeah.
turn it on. That's a different thing. And so, but they use a wood burning stove. And my brother in law got home from work and it was like 40 degrees in their house. So he started the fire and was just standing next to it like this. And I was like, yeah, that's why I live in Mesa. Just saying. It's just a thing. Okay, well, welcome, welcome. We were talking about the office hours assignment. part of that assignment is coming to visit me in my office hours. Yeah. And some of you have done it. Great job, Lily. Great job. Who else? V, and great job, Josh. Everybody else did not pass that yet. So everybody else, unfortunately, my office hours for this week are done. So you're going to have to do it Monday morning at 8 a.m. Yeah, that's the last office hours I have. I love all your faces for that. You're like, what just happened? Yeah, so I am in my office hours between 8 and 8:50 a.m. Ruki, it looked like maybe you tried to get on at like 8:53. Is that true? And I logged back on, but you were gone already. So I ended 8:50 because I start another class at 9. So just so you know, you can do it. It takes less than 5 minutes. So not a big deal. So if all of you try to log on at 8 a.m., guess what? It's going to be real hard because there's going to be like 10 of you there. So maybe space it out. Now, everybody can't log on at 8:45 either. Right? So don't think that. So you guys can schedule it. If a couple of you log on at the same time, it's okay. I can just put you in the waiting room. Josh, you were getting those messages last night, right? When you
Yeah.
were in the waiting room? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was with other students and I just said, be with you in a minute, so you just wait. And then when I'm done with them, I just let you in. And it's real quick. It's especially quick if you have your form already filled out, right? The first 3 questions. Okay. So that being said, happy Thursday. I know, it's crazy. It's Thunderbird Thursday. Yeah, what does that mean? Well, this is the day where I share stuff about MCC, which is a great day in my opinion, because I think MCC is a great place to be and we have so many resources for you. Now, that's not what I meant to do. Sorry about that. I'm going to stop sharing that. So there's been good and bad things about COVID, mostly bad, right? But the good part about it is a lot of our resources have gone virtual, which is really good for a lot of you who work at certain times because maybe you weren't able to access some things that you wanted to. So that being said, one of the things that MCC did because of the pandemic was make a virtual student life center. Now, they might have had some of this already, but they really marketed it once we were all virtual. So I'm going to share it with you. If you've been to MCC's campus, you know we have a lot going on. If you've never been to MCC's campus, that's okay. There's still stuff going on. It just might not be going on campus, right? So if you come to this page, this is the student life and leadership page. And the reason I love it is look at all these things. There's virtual events, leadership programs, resources and services, multicultural and social justice programming, ASMCC student government, our own UDIT is right there, right? And civic engagement, clubs and organizations, and fun things to do. This can be a place where you can go and get lots of different information. I'm just going to click on one of them right now so you can see. I'm going to click on virtual events. If you click on virtual events, yes, there are virtual events going on right now. So there was one this Tuesday on January 26th, but there's one on February 4th that some of you might be interested in. It's called The Life and Times of African Americans. It's our sociology professor, Rod Golden, who's going to be leading a virtual presentation and discussion. And he specifically it's going to include contributors among civil rights flashpoints, a story of purpose and progress. So it's Rod Golden, by the way, if you've never met that professor we have, is amazing, an outstanding professor. So the link is right here. It tells you the password. We also have a guide from our lovely library, which is amazing, on Black History Month, which is awesome. We also have Civic Action Hour. They're doing this all the time. I believe it's every Wednesday. I'm not positive, but they'll show us in a minute. So Civic Action Hour is a great way. Some of you, we've really been talking about civic engagement on campus. Well, not on campus, but virtually, and how we can get involved. Free dental screening. Who'd have thought? Our dental program is known across the US, by the way. I don't know if you guys realize that, but our dental program is outstanding. We have great stats. And going to the dentist can be really expensive, right? Even just for a cleaning. Look, they'll do kids even. If you have a kid that's 5 and up, they'll do a dental cleaning for them and they'll check it out. So it's the Arizona School of Dentistry and Oral Health, and it's available to you. And here's some more information on this flyer. They have a This is February 10th, the Civic Action Hour on Human Trafficking Awareness. Super important, right? But look, it just keeps going and going. We have so many things. This is a great one for tomorrow. SOS, students offering support. We have our student ambassadors that can answer questions for you. So please, please, please take advantage of this. Now, I just clicked on one thing, right? That's all I clicked on was that one thing of virtual events. Look at how many other things you have that you could click on. We have so many leadership programs and resources, as well as we have tons of clubs. Ooh, I'm supposed to announce something about Math Club, but I can't remember what it is. So I will send you a message about Math Club. Math Club is amazing. We have some great leaders. They do super fun things. They play games. They have great speakers. I'm having a flash. I feel like it's about a movie and the math in a movie, which is perfect because we just talked box office. So I'll check that out in just a minute. But I love this link right here, fun things to do. Anyone stuck inside and trying to figure out how to entertain themselves or their friends, here's some ideas, some virtual tours. Anyone never been to the Smithsonian? If you've never been, this is a great tour. Okay. Famous museums, the Louvre, Disneyland rides, a Hogwarts virtual escape room, all kinds of fun things. So I'm telling you, MCC is amazing. So good things came out of COVID as well as plenty of bad things, but this is one of the good things. So, and if anybody is curious as to an update on return to campus, I think some of you probably are. We were supposed to do our phased in return to campus starting February 1st. That has now been delayed. I know you're shocked. So we don't know the new delay. Some people say March 1st, some people say after spring break. We haven't heard. Now, we're staying virtual the whole semester, our class. That hasn't changed. But if campus opens little by little, I'll let you know. So in case you need to access campus, you can. The other thing is, how many of you are taking classes in the fall? You're going to take some classes in the fall at MCC. Yeah. So here's what I know. What I know is we're going to try to offer as many in-person classes as we can safely. That's the plan. We can't really gauge what that means right now because the guidelines might be changing, right? So I know the math department's goal specifically is to offer as many face-to-face courses as we can, or at least partially face-to-face, like maybe introducing kind of a hybrid model where one day you would come to class and the other day you would work outside of class. So that's all I know on the return to campus. As soon as I know more, I will let you know. Okay. I do also know that some people really like live online classes. That's been more convenient for them. So I think we are going to offer some live online classes to meet the needs of our students. Okay. So I'm telling you, MCC is amazing, has so much to offer. I've just barely scratched the surface, but please, please, please check out what we have to offer. I love going to their virtual events. They have some great things. I love this saying, by the way. Can you see my iPad screen now? Okay. So genius is 1% talent and 99% hard work. Remember when we were talking about, do we just know math? Do we just have the math gene? No, this is Albert Einstein says that it was 99% hard work. So if Albert Einstein was working hard, you better believe that we need to be working hard. So just so you know, and the reason I picked that quote is because it has percents in it. And that's what we're talking about today. Yeah, I know. I have a lot of time on my hands, apparently. No, I just like famous people and their quotes, by the way. One of my friends said what they do for New Year's, instead of like picking a resolution, they pick a quote for the year and they focus on that quote all the time throughout the year. So, and I can't remember the quote she picked because I didn't pick a quote. I did a vision board instead. I know vision boarding was big. So I did a vision board. You can't see it. Sorry. Okay. Speaking of which, the box office activity you did yesterday, I didn't finish grading it yet. I mean, you all got full credit, but I was going to give you some feedback on that too. Okay. So just so you know that if that's still sitting there, you're worried about it. You did it. Okay. So let's do a 3, 2, 1, go class chat. What is a percent? So type in the chat, what is a percent? Don't hit enter yet. I'll give you about 30 whole seconds. Okay. And 3, 2, 1, go. Read through everybody's answers. Nice. A lot of you mentioned 100, right? Mentioned 100 because have you ever thought about it? Percent, the per part means like division, and this cent part means 100. So percent literally means divide by 100. Yeah. Yeah, weird, huh? So cent, that part of that word means 100. Think about a century is how long 100 years, or there's 100 pennies or 100 cents in a dollar. Yeah. And have you ever thought of this? The percent sign looks like this. Yeah. That's what the percent sign looks like. Kind of looks like a division sign tilted on its side. Weird. Yeah. You know what else it looks like? A 1 and 2 zeros. Yeah. Is your mind blown right now? Thank you, Brady. I loved that. Yeah. Mind blown. Mathematicians are not creative. We just call it like we see it, right? That's what it is. Okay, good. So you know that. Why are we talking about percents when we were just talking about movies yesterday? Right? And now I told you we're going into statistics. Well, we use percents a lot in statistics, and we convert things back and forth from fraction, decimal, percent, fraction, decimal, and so on. So I want to do some basic skills and get those out of the way before I dump you into statistics and you start crying, right? Because we want to make sure we understand all these basic skills before we get too far. Okay. So, I'm going to put something in the chat for you. It's a document. Now, here's the deal. Everything I'm doing is going to be on this screen, and it's saved in the OneNote notebook. So you don't really have to take, amazingly crazy notes. You definitely want to work things out and fill them out as we go. But some of the time, I know some of you want a document to reference because I go too fast, or you might miss something, or you want to work ahead. So here's the document right here. That is totally not the right document. That's your exit ticket. Don't do your exit ticket yet. Sorry about that. I mean, you could do it, but don't leave. I'm going to put your handout in here. This is the same questions that you see on the screen. So again, you don't have to print it out. You can have it up for reference, or you can just ignore it. I don't care. As long as you're interacting with me, you're going to be good to go. Okay. All right. So the first thing we want to talk about is how do we go from fraction to a decimal? So fraction to a decimal right here, this is 3/4. Some of you might automatically know what decimal it is. Like you're like, boom, I already know this, which is totally great. But what if I gave you a fraction you didn't know? Can you tell me the procedure, how to get from a fraction to a decimal? Anyone, just tell me what you do. Go from fraction to a decimal.
Isn't it just divide the top number by the bottom number?
You got it. Thanks, Zach. Zach was like, wait, that seems like too easy of a question. What's happening, right? So we're just going to do 3 divided by 4. We could do it by hand, old school, or we could do it on our calculator, right? Or we could do it on Desmo's calculator. So I'm going to do it by hand just so you can kind of remember. This will be like flashback math. 4 doesn't go into 3 at any times. So I'm going to add a decimal point and a 0. 4 goes into 37 times. 7 times 4 is 28. I'm going to subtract. I'm going to add another 0 and bring it down. 4 goes into 20 5 times, and I have no remainder. So my fraction as a decimal is 0.75. That's only one way to do it, right? And I'm going to put the Desmos scientific calculator in the chat for you too. Because if you haven't bookmarked this yet, do it. I'm going to show you it on Desmos right now. So if I say 3 divided by 4, it makes it a fraction. Do you see? It shows the decimal answer right there. Yeah, amazing. So Desmos is really nice. You can do it on here too. Just put in 3 divided by 4, right? You can do it on a scientific calculator too, which apparently I threw mine away. Here it is. You can do it on this guy too. 3 divided by 4. No worries. Now, there's another way to do it. First of all, you could say, has anyone ever thought about it like this? Since we know if we can make the denominator a power of 10, we can write our fraction really easily. So what do I multiply 4 by to make it 100? I can multiply it by 25. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. Oops, sorry, that should be a 25. So that's 75. So this fraction right here, 75 hundredths, sounds a lot like a decimal to me because the second place value is called the hundredths. So I could just say 75 hundredths is that 75 hundredths. Is there anyone in here who was like, I just knew it because of 3/4? 3/4 is 75 cents. And this what 75 cents looks like? Anyone do it that way? Yeah, perfect. Use those math skills. You're awesome. Okay, so we have our ways to do it. I wrote here that one procedure is divide the numerator by the denominator, just like Zach said. Okay, try these 3. Now, try these 3. Let's do a private chat to me. So that means you can enter it in anytime. So privately chat me your answers to 1, 2, and 3. And then I will give you feedback on that. So there's 3 of them. And it says round to the nearest 10th. So please follow rounding rules. Okay. So try those 3 and privately chat me when you're done. And don't chat my iPad. Chat the one that looks like my face. Don't chat RK iPad, just so you know. Chat me, the live me. All right. So I'm responding to some of you. Some of you are really fast. So I can't respond to all of you at once. Here's what I'm noticing. Some of you are doing great, making sure you're following the criteria. So here's the answers. It said round to the nearest tenths. Now, some of you for this first one wrote this, which is equivalent to 8/10. But since it ends and it says round to the nearest tenth, this first place value to the right of the decimal is the tenths place. So we don't want this 0, okay? We just want it to say 8/10. And the second one, 7/10. And then this last one, when you did it, you noticed that it turned out really long, right? It gave you 0.7142857. Now, since it said to the nearest tenth, you end it here. You have to decide, should I leave it 7/10 or should I make it 8/10? Since there's a 1 to the right, I'm going to leave it 7/10. So it's just going to stay 0.7. So be careful. Some of you were off. I don't know if it was a typing issue too. So, and sometimes we forget which place value is the tenths. It's the very first one to the right of the decimal. Okay, that's the tenths. And that's why we're practicing all of this. So, any questions on those 3? You guys did great. Like I said, almost everyone got the correct answer, but the rounding is the issue, right? And on your test, it's going to be important because if you round incorrectly, it's just going to mark it wrong. So you need to make sure you have everything written on your paper, because then I can go back and look at your paper and I can go, oh, it was just a rounding error. I'm going to give them partial credit. Okay. Which is worth a lot, let me tell you. Any questions on that? Excellent. Okay. So on that handout that I put in the chat, that I don't care if you're using or not, I have this triangle. This is a nice way if some of you are struggling to remember things. Obviously, the F stands for fraction, the D stands for decimal, the P stands for percent. So we're going to go around the triangle. So far, we did fraction to decimal, and how we did that was we divided. Okay. So you could write your own in there if you needed to. Now we're going to go to the bottom of the triangle, decimal to percent. Does anyone know how to change this right here to a percent? I bet most of you know. You're just shy and not telling me. I think you said move the decimal place?
Yes, ma'am.
Tashina?
Yeah, it was a.
Okay.
Pat
So
figured it.
move the decimal place. Which way? How many times? And what does that mean mathematically?
To the right, however many zeros, and since we're working with 100, it would be 2 places because there's 2 zeros.
Okay, so we're going to move it to the right. I should say move the decimal point to the right 2 places. And mathematically, what we're really doing is we're multiplying by 100. That's what we're really doing. So if you can't remember, oh my gosh, why am I moving it 2 to the right? Don't worry about that part of it. Just multiply by 100. If you do remember that, then perfect. Okay. So you just take 0.75 and multiply it by 100. And you should get 75. And then you add that little percent sign, right? 75%. So here's this is what's nice is I have my slides all ready for you. So then if you paying attention in class, and then let's say you try to do your homework and then you're like, wait, was I in class? I don't remember. So you can refer to my slides anytime you want. They're in 2 places. They're on Canvas. In the week, they're usually the first thing in the module that should say slides. And then they're also in my OneNote notebook, okay, which is where I am right now. And what's nice about my OneNote notebook is you can see my writing all over it once class is over. Okay. Okay. Now you try these 3. Try these 3 and go ahead and chat them to me when you're done. And this time we're going from a decimal to a percent. All right. Some of you are not chatting me, just so you know. I know some of you might not be done. That's fine. Just make sure you're chatting me. I try to answer you back, but sometimes my chat gets lost, just so you know. So you guys are doing great. Okay. Sorry if I didn't answer you in the chat, but I hope I did. Questions on these? I'm going to scroll to the next slide so you can see the answers. Right. And again, you can just do it on your calculators and it'll tell you the answer. So anyone confused on, so I think the first one was okay because it was just 23%. The second one, 21.5% because you multiplied by 100, which moved the decimal point right here in between. I don't know what that was. In between the 21 and the 5. This one, anyone have trouble with that last one? I think you did okay. 109%. Is it possible to have more than 100%? Yeah. When can you think of an example of when that would happen in real life?
Extra credit.
Extra credit. I
Oh.
love how that's real life.
Would stocks be one?
Yeah, stocks for sure. Right? They go up. I mean, hopefully your stock is going up. So it's worth more than it was before. So it's over 100%. Yeah. Anyone buy jewelry? You know what the markup is on jewelry? Like 400%.
Oh, I was going to say, don't tell me.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's amazing. Brady's shaking his head like, see, that's why you don't buy jewelry. It's true.
What about
Okay.
gas, man?
What? Isn't that crazy?
I'm worried about gas. I don't care about jewelry. What's up with gas?
Yeah, I get it. Okay, interesting. So, we pay more than 100% for pretty much everything we buy. Is that right? Especially because we pay something called taxes. Yeah. So when you go to the store and you buy something, when you buy a shirt, you don't pay 100% for the shirt. You probably pay about 109% for the shirt because you're paying for the shirt and then you're paying tax. Yeah. And tax is about 9%. depending on what city you're in, right? It might vary a little bit. So yeah, we pay more than 100% all the time. Sometimes we have really tiny, tiny percentages as well, right? Those are usually your savings account interest, right? As opposed to the opposite end, what the company, the credit card company is charging you in interest, right? Yeah, isn't this a fun game we're playing in the United States? Yeah, it's not a fun game we're playing. So be careful. We do this a lot, okay? And sometimes we have really small percentages like in science, right? There's lots of applications of that. Can anyone think of a current event where we're talking about percent?
Yeah, I think there's like what they say. It changes a little bit, but I think 1.1% of people have passed away from COVID
Yeah.
in reference to how many, or in comparison to how many have contracted it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the death rate is relatively low, which is good, right? Unless you're one of the people who died, right? Then it's not good for you. But overall, the death rate percentage is low. We're also looking at positivity rates, right? Have you heard that a lot? The percent of people that are testing positive out of all the people that have been tested. And the reason that is important is because it lets us know how the spread is going. So they say that we're having the pandemic more under control when we're under 5% for a positivity rate. Anyone know what the current positivity rate is in Arizona right now? They
I
put it
don't,
up
but I
every day. It changes.
think it's in the 20s.
It's been in the 20s. I saw a latest thing that maybe is reporting it as low as 18% now.
That's
Because
good.
we seem to be heading back down, but it's still too high, right? If under 5% is under control. We also talk about percentages right now with COVID with what is herd immunity, right? And when will we approach herd immunity? So we use percentages a lot in statistics, and you can see those in science a lot, right? Right now with, oh, the vaccines, what's the percent effectiveness, right? So if it says there's a 95% effectiveness, I want you to put that in perspective. That means if 100 people are together, 5 of them will still get it. Yeah. Or there's a 1 in 20 chance that you'll still get it even if you have the vaccine. Yeah. So just put that in perspective there. Make it make sense to you. Okay. Okay. So not a fun conversation, but an important conversation, right? That we're having. Okay. So we did just decimal to percent. We multiplied by 100 and we added the percent sign. So percent to fraction. Now you already know the answer, right? Because we went the other way already. But how do we do it? If we had to write a procedure for how we write a percent as a fraction, what would you do? Tashina, very nice. Do you have to do anything else after that?
Sorry, simplify.
Yeah. So Tashina said you can just put the number over 100. Because remember we talked about percent meaning per 100. So if we put the number without the percent sign over 100, then we need to simplify it, right? So we can simplify this. You guys probably simplify things very differently depending on your background. Some of you will go, okay, I'm just going to divide the top by 25 and divide the bottom by 25, and I'm going to get 3 over 4. Some of you wrote 75 over 100 and you used like maybe prime factorization where you said 3 times 5 times 5 over 4 times 5 times 5. And these 5 simplify to 1. And so our answer is 3/4, right? Some of you do it differently. Or you're like, I'm not doing it any of those ways. This is how I'm doing it, baby. I'm going to my calculator and I'm going to say, what did I have? 75? 75 over 100. Oh, I'm going to try something else because I've never done it on this calculator before. So I'll check. Do you see how it gave me the decimal, but there's a little circle over here? If I click that little circle, look what it did. Boom, done. Gave it to me. I'm going to try one other thing. If I do 75%, oops, sorry. I didn't know what that button did on here. 75%. Why does it not let me write a 5? 75% of, I don't know what that means. 100, I don't know. That was a weird, don't use that button. I didn't know what that button did. We could use that later if we need to. So, but Desmo's super nice. If we go 75 divided by 100, geez, oh Pete, my Apple Pencil must be dying. We 75. Now my finger's dying. Divided by 100. I know why my finger doesn't work. It's 3/4. My fingers are really, really cold because I have very bad circulation. And so it doesn't work on my phone or on any touch screens sometimes. Isn't that terrible? So I'm probably dead if you tried to take my pulse or something right now. Yeah, crazy. Okay. Anyone want to know how to do it on this guy? On this calculator? Anyone have one of these? You want to do it on here? All right. So if you want to do it on there, do exactly what we did before. Do 75 divided by 100, and it'll give you that decimal, 0.75. Then you'll want to hit a button that says math. Do you see that button? It's on the left-hand side, about 3 down. Hit math, and then the should say FRAC, which is fraction. Just hit enter. And hit enter again, and it's kind of rough, but can you see it on my screen? It says 3/4. Did it do it on yours, Lee? Nice. And if you have one of these guys, there's a button on your calculator that says fraction to decimal. It'll say F to D. Somebody's calculator, if you have a Casio, it says S to D. If you do that, it'll still give you the fraction. So many choices to get those fractions. Anyone have a calculator they don't know how to use that? V, you doing okay? Okay. Oh, good. That was V and Lee. I got you both in there. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So back here. So write the number over 100 and simplify. Here's 3 of them. Try these. The last one is a little tricky, but on your calculator, you should be fine. Try these 3. Let me know how it goes. Okay. And you can type them in the chat privately to me when you're done. Okay, it's going too fast. Brady, yes. Matt, yes. Tashina, yes. Annie, yes. Okay, hilarious, because did I say I wanted a fraction or a decimal? I think I said we practiced fractions and then we wrote them all as decimals. So that's okay. Let's do both. If you did them as fractions, do them as fractions, then do them again as decimals. So do you see how it says decimal here, but it should really say fraction? That's okay. So I think we have to do them both either way. So good as fraction, good as decimal. That's a little typo on my part. So let's look at these. Oh, I was doing fractions, even I said do decimals. So, but we'll write them as decimals as well. So 15% is 15 over 100 is 3 over 20. If I was going to write it as a decimal, it would be 0.15 because I take off the percent sign and I divide by 100, which moves it to the left 2. If I was doing 4%, that's 4 over 100, which I could simplify to 1 over 25, which Veronica did great. Okay. And if I wanted to make it a decimal, I would say 0.04. So sorry, I gave bad directions. This last one, as a fraction, might be a little challenging. It might be challenging as a fraction or a decimal. Okay. So as a fraction, it will simplify to 3 over 40, but you might not clearly see where that came from. And you're like, I don't care where it came from. Desmos told me it was the answer. And I believe Desmos. Okay. But I'm going to show you the math just in case you actually might want to know where it came from. So when I write this 7.5 over 100, that looks weird with a decimal inside a fraction, right? It'd be much nicer if this top just said 75. Right? That would be nice. So how can I make it say that? I can multiply by 10 and 7.5 times 10 would give me 75. But whatever I do up there, I have to do down here. So 100 times 10 would be 1,000. And that might be easier for you to see why 75 over 1,000 simplifies to 3 over 40. Because if I divide the top by 25 and the bottom by 25, I will get a 3. And normally if I divide 25 into 100, I get a 4. But since it's 1,000, I'm going to get an extra 0 on the end there of 3 over 40. Okay, so that's the math behind it. You're like, whatever, Desmos said it was right. I'm good. Right? So that's fine. Now, on the decimal part of it, if we divide by 100, that would be 0.075. So sorry about that. I gave you a bunch of different directions on accident. So any questions on either making it a fraction from a percent or a decimal from a percent? Questions on those? No. Yay. I like it. Thank you, Veronica. Veronica's using those little icons. I like it. She's like, I'm tired of typing in the chat. That's a lot of work. I feel you, right? Okay. And then percent to fraction, that's what I actually just did. Oh no, this is where we are now. Okay, so let me focus. I don't know what happened if I just got away from myself. So on our triangle, we have gone all the way around our triangle. We've gone fraction to decimal, decimal to percent, percent to fraction. What if we went the other way? Are you good with that? It's just the opposite, right, of what we were doing before. So if you have a fraction, how do you get to a percent? Well, you can do a two-step procedure, right? Because if you look at our triangle, fraction to percent, you might have to do a couple things. It says take off the percent sign, put the number by over 100, simplify if necessary. Well, we're obviously going to have to put on the percent sign, and then we're going to have to see what we can do. But a lot of people go this way. They go fraction to decimal and decimal to percent. So they go the first way around the triangle. So what I mean is a lot of people change this to 0.75 first by just dividing. And then they multiply by 100 and they get 75%. So they divide first, then they multiply by 100. Okay. So can you try these three? This first one looks exactly the same. We just did that one. I don't know what happened. Just write those as percents. You don't even have to type them to me. We can just verify that you got them right if you want. I'll give you about 30 seconds. Okay, are you ready for the big reveal? Did you do them all already? So there you go. 75%, 80%, and 70%. Did you get them all right? Raise your hand, give me a party hat or something if you got them all right. Nice. Thank you for the party hat. I appreciate you. Thumbs up too. Okay. So make sure your percent sign goes at the end. Does anyone have any questions on those three? How you do those? Everybody all right? You're like, thank goodness we're doing math. I understand. Hooray me, right? Yeah, I get it. I feel you, right? Okay. Can we go from a percent to a decimal? I feel like we already did this, didn't we? Yeah, so we're good. We already did these three. I remember vividly. Excellent. Can we go from a decimal to a fraction? Did we talk about this yet? I feel like we did. Let's look at some examples. So these are a little bit trickier only because some people don't know what to do. So when you look at this number right here, most of you were taught to just read it like 0. Am I right? How many of you, that's how you would read that? Decimal. Yeah. So what they didn't realize when they taught you to do that, procedurally that's true, but it doesn't have a lot of mathematical meaning and we forget what place value means. So if we start reading them mathematically, we'll be better at understanding and we'll be better at rounding. So I read that number mathematically as 8/10. That's how I read that number because this 8 is in the 10ths place. So I read that as 8/10. What's weird is then it sounds like a fraction, doesn't it? So 8/10 sounds like this. 8/10. So if you just read it mathematically and your fraction, then you can simplify it. Okay. And we already know how to simplify. So this would simplify to 4/5. Sometimes we don't have to simplify, right? This is just 7/10. Then I'm done. 7/10. Now, what if I gave you one like this? How would you read this number? Anyone know how to read that number 3 that I wrote in there?
Would it be 2800ths?
Yes, absolutely. 2800ths, because the second place value is the hundredths. If it just said 28, I would read that as 28. So the only difference is when it's a decimal, I read the number normally, and then I add in where it ends in the place value. So 2800ths is 28/100. And then I simplify that fraction. I don't know how many of you realize, but 4 goes into both of those. And so this would simplify to 7/25. And you're like, yeah, that's a lot of thinking. Desmos will do that for me, right? That's fine. Just make sure you know how to use it, right? Make sure you're good at it. Okay. So on your triangle, you can go any way around the triangle. You just would reverse your direction, right? So if we're going this way from fraction to decimal, we would divide. To go from decimal to percent, we would multiply by 100 and add a percent sign. To go from percent to fraction, we would take off the percent, put it over 100 and simplify if necessary, right? So this triangle is a really nice way for you to remember things. Now, on Monday, we're going to do this handout. You're like, wait a minute, it is 11:23 right now. What is happening? How did we get through all this so fast? Okay, well, surprise, surprise. We're going to get out of here in about 5 minutes. Yeah? This will not happen often. I just have a doctor's appointment that I have to go to, so I had to end class a little bit early. The good news is you guys were rock stars on this. I think you knew most of this, so it was just refreshing those things, right? It wasn't like learning it all over again. It was just refreshing these skills. So let's talk homework. You have your office hours assignment, which you really can't complete until Monday, but you can do the first 3 questions. Let's say you're like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to make it Monday morning at 8 a.m. Like it's not going to happen. I see it right now. The handwriting's on the wall. I'm going to lose my mind. You better contact me and we'll see if we can find another time to meet. Yes, but don't contact me at 8:50 a.m. Monday morning and say, oops, didn't make it. Right? Don't do that. Okay. So the other thing is I put a new assignment on Canvas. I don't know if you saw it. It's called More, M-O-R-E. Did you see it? And there's 7 questions, and those 7 questions, some are videos and some are percent questions. So you watch the video, be sure you check the little button that says, I watched this video and I'm ready to go on. You'll notice that it gives you a point then, right? When you watch the video. Then you go to the next question and you do all the questions, right? So finish all of those. You can keep doing them. By the way, if somebody hasn't used More before, as soon as you do one question, it gives you a grade. So you're going to be like, wait a minute, my grade just went down because now I have a 1 out of 7. Don't panic. Okay. As you progress, your grade will come back up. Okay. And then you can, let's say you miss a question, you should be able to do the question again. Okay. So until you get 100 on it, that's the idea. You want to get 100% on all these homeworks because it makes a big difference. It also makes a big difference if you miss all your homework assignments. That can be the difference between passing this class and not passing this class. Not whether or not you know the math, but can you do the assignments, right? So make sure you do that. Okay. And those are all your assignments until Monday. But guess what's coming? Probably late next week, a little tiny baby quiz. Okay. A little tiny baby quiz on percents. Good? All right. If you have questions for me, stick around. If you don't, make sure you do the exit ticket. And let me know if you have any questions. Surprise, surprise, we got out early, but I'm still here. So if you need me, just hang out and ask a question. And otherwise, have a great weekend. I'll see you Monday.
I have a quick question.
I'm ready.
So I was looking at Canvas, and under modules, it has like a list of all of our assignments. And for the first week, it was checking them off on the right-hand side of the screen for me.
And it's
then
not now.
Now it's not. Yes, I didn't know. Is there
Would
another
you like
place where I
them
can
to
just
check
double
it out?
check?
That's me, not you. Would you like
Okay.
me to make it so you check them, so it checks them off?
It'd be nice. I mean, I don't want to give you more
Perfect.
work. I know you're busy.
No,
So-
that's easy. That is literally the click of a button. That was just me being lazy when I set it up and I didn't click a button that I needed to.
Okay.
So let me click
I
that
was just
button.
trying to make sure I keep track of.
And I will do it too for next week. I'll make sure I click that button for next week too. So that was
Okay.
my bad.
And-
Sorry about that. I'm
and
so
then you-
happy you asked, Tashina.
Yeah, and then you sent a link about pronouns and notifications. Was that I was kind of confused on that. At first, when I saw pronouns, I was like, is this my English teacher or my math teacher?
No, it's just Canvas added a new feature of
Okay.
that you can select your pronouns that you prefer to be called by.
Oh,
And
she,
so,
he, and stuff.
and it's setting up your notifications in Canvas. Some people don't set up their notifications in Canvas, and it's extremely helpful if they do. So let me put, okay, this should not screw you up.
Thank you for answering.
Yeah, no worries. And did you watch my video? It was my voice. It really was, I promise.
Have a good weekend, guys.
Bye,
Bye,
Josh.
you guys.
Johnny, have a great weekend.
See you.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.